Welcome everyone to my session. Let's create an advent calendar in minutes using Power Apps Generative Pages. My name is Keith Atherton. I'm a Power Platform solution architect. My background is as a professional developer, and I've got over 25 years experience. I'm quite active with the tech community. I'm also a Microsoft MVP, a Microsoft certified trainer, and I'll also co-host a user group as well as a podcast too. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. And if you've got any questions after the session, please do reach out. I'm always happy to help people. Okay, so first up, what are Power Apps? So if this is something new to you, we'll cover this very briefly. Now, Power Apps is part of the Power Platform. So the Power Platform itself is a combination of different services such as Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI, and a few others. The one we're going to be focusing on today is Power Apps itself. So we can see here on the Microsoft marketing page, they mention here, transform your business with modern AI first applications. And really, the short version is it's a way of creating web apps quite easily using low code methods, lots of drag and drop, and some fairly simplistic coding language that's powerful. But quite accessible, certainly for non technical people, to kind of build up apps that can be used within your organization. So we just scroll a bit further down here, again, building enterprise solutions. Uh, you know, you can actually use Copilot just to build things. We're going to be doing something similar like that today. And there's lots of different use cases that you might want to use these apps for. So if I go over to this tab right here, this is an example of, at the moment, a brand new empty Canvas Power App. There's two main types. This Canvas one, where we start with this empty blank canvas. We can actually drag and drop controls on there, resize them, reposition them, and so on. And there's another type called a model-driven Power App. With the model-driven apps, you actually build up the data model first, and then the user interface is mostly auto-generated off the back of that data model. It's a really big time saver. So we've got these two different types. Now, starting with this one here, this Canvas app, again, as I say, this is just the very first screen. On the left, we've got a tree view with one screen. Nothing's going on here at the moment with this big blank canvas. And on the right hand side, when we've got something selected in the tree view on the left, the right hand side has properties where we can actually change things like colors and positions. So if we go ahead and add a control in here, I can add some text. It's just going to add it right there. And I'm just going to resize this. I'll make the font a little bit bigger because that's quite small. Let's make this 30. Then we can actually adjust these properties. I'm just going to say hello world. There we go. It took a moment to refresh. I'll just scroll down. There's ways we can actually change colors and do things like this. I'm going to go ahead and insert something else. I'll insert a button right here. Again, I can change the position. I can change the size. So I can build up these user interfaces. If I go ahead and select this and go to advanced, we've got some action properties. There's one here called on select, which is really when we click the button. And then when we want to perform some code, we've actually got it in this formula bar here with the FX. At the moment, it doesn't really do anything, but I can actually go ahead and change this and get it to display a message to the screen. So if I go hello there and then preview the app, I can go ahead and click on this button right here and we'll get a pop-up message at the very top. So something very simple, but again, this is intended mostly to be accessible for technical and non-technical people alike as well. So here's one way of building an app. Again, we can gradually build these up with different controls like containers, text, buttons. There's many other things like date pickers, combo boxes, the usual kind of things we'd see in most line of business apps. So while the world's moved on fairly recently, there are a lot of good Copilot options to create Power Apps. There's one where you can actually create a single Power App using a Copilot just to give it a description of what you want the app to do. There's also a really good one called Plan Designer as well, where instead of just a single app, you can say, I've got this entire solution. It might be multiple apps, it might be multiple different flows that perform automations. You describe the problem, and then it will suggest the different components that you need to build that solution out. The one we're going to look at today is specific to a page, and it's a fairly recent feature that went generally available by Microsoft. So if you're keen to learn more here in Microsoft Learn, we've actually got this article here that's saying generate a page using natural language. So again, natural language, we'll give this to like a co-pilot type interface. We'll provide the prompt, say, I want this page to do something. It's also known as a generative page, which we have right here. And this is in Power Apps. So again, if you're keen to learn any more, this has recently gone generally available. At the moment, it's only available in the US region. I'm sure that will expand to other regions in future. So if you're using this in Power Apps, just bear in mind that you'd need an environment based in the US to be able to use this feature. There are some good instructions on how to go about using this as well. So what we're going to do is go over and jump to a tab, which is right here. I'm just going to zoom in a moment here on the link in the bar. We've got make.powerapps.com, which is where we need to go if we want to create a Power App. Now, it may be that your organization already has a license and you're allowed to use it. It might be that you've signed up for a free trial personally. It might be that you have some other plan or license that gives you access to this. But again, one thing to bear in mind is that you want an environment. I'll zoom in right here on the environment selector. I've named mine just to be clear that it's a US environment. You do need it based in the US at the moment to have this feature available. So right here, I've created a new model-driven app. At the moment, there's nothing going on. There's no pages at the moment. And what we typically do with a model-driven app is go to the very top left here, add a page. The most common thing that has been done for the last few years is choose a Dataverse table. Dataverse being the database backend that comes with the Power Platform. And then we're able to select tables that we want to point to. So in this case, I'll go to the account table. It's one of the out-of-the-box ones. Click on add, and what it will do is add here. And as I mentioned before, with model-driven apps, we're going to start with the data model first, and then the user interface, at least to start with, is auto-generated based on that data model. Now, at the moment, I've only selected one table, the accounts table, but you can see very usefully, if I go ahead and preview this app, let's save and continue, it's actually gone ahead and created this UI for us already. So we've started off with this grid with all the records that we've got available. And if we click on one of these records, we'll actually be taken to a form page where we can actually see the full details for that record and make changes to them if we wish as well. So there we go. We're just going to open up this new tab and preview the app. And again, this is the traditional way that model-driven apps have been built for the last few years. So here I've got 3 accounts, account 1, 2, and 3. We've got this grid as a starting point with some useful columns. I can actually go ahead and open up one of these records into the form page. And here's where we're going to get more detail, all the other columns that may or may not have been shown in that grid page, the previous one. And we can actually go ahead and make changes. Let's see. So let's just change that URL. We can save and close. Let's go back here. So again, this is a tried and tested way. It's very, very useful way of generating apps very quickly within Power Apps. And the great thing with these model-driven apps is that they're accessible and responsive out of the box. Now, the main reason we've come here today is to look at these generative pages, and we can actually demonstrate how much power we've got with these that goes well beyond these typical line of business grids and forms approach. So the way we'd want to do this, we're actually going to go back to add page. And on here, we've got this option to describe a page. See the little sparkles there, there's going to be some generative AI. So what we can do is select this, and it's going to get things ready for this new page, and it's going to give us a prompt where we can describe what we want the page to do. Now, the example today, it's the 1st of December when this video is going out. So we're going to look to create an advent calendar by using this description. So again, there are some suggestions up here. They're all well and good, but we're going to go ahead and actually just suggest it to create an advent calendar. So let's give this a go, is create an advent calendar with 24 windows representing December 1st to 24th. And I'm going to say each window contains the number. And then we'll say make the windows colorful. And then I'll give it some description that if when we click on the window, we want to open up and show some festive image. So when the user clicks on each window, display a different festive image each time. Okay, so there's a very basic starting point. What we can do is we can actually add some data here. At the moment, we're not going to point to any data. We don't have any tables or data linked to this. That could be another option. We could have a table where we've actually got 24 records, and maybe they might point to or store images themselves, the images that we actually want to show. So that could be useful. On the right-hand side, we've got a couple of options for the model. I'm just going to leave the default there of GPT 5.0. There's no specific reason for me to change it in this case. So I'm going to go ahead and generate, and then Power Apps is going to work its magic. So we can see here that it's using the app agent. It says, sure, I'll start by planning the structure of your page, and then I'll generate the code and bring it to life. So we can see here it's going through some of the reasoning quite quickly. It's now shifted it over to the left pane. We've got lots of information about what it's doing right here. And on the right hand side, we can actually see it's building up the React code for what this page is going to display. There's a lot of URLs there, presumably pointing to some festive images. It's generative AI. I've not run this before. Even if I did, it wouldn't be deterministic. We'd get something different this time anyway. But we can see it's actually working away here, showing this preview. It's actually just giving us a holding image because it's still working away. And if we go here to toggle on the right-hand side to code, we can see here about this React code that's being built up. So it's just jumped me back over, but for a moment, again, I can actually see right here, it's got things here like the festive images with the different URLs, different colors here, presumably used for the buttons. Actually, there's not a lot of code going on, which is quite nice. So it's quite readable from this perspective. See, it's building up through this array, 24 items. And further down, we can see there's an on click that when we click on one of them, it's going to perform an action, hopefully to show a festive image. So if we go back over to this preview tab where it did jumpers, we can see here, okay, it's kind of literally followed the instructions, which is great. I said, okay, I want windows 1 to 24, make them colorful. It's done exactly what I've said. Typical advent calendars, I didn't give this instruction, but typical advent calendars might actually mix and match the positions of these, so we need to search for the correct window for that day. I didn't specify that, so it didn't know to do it, but we can do a follow-up prompt in a moment to see if it does that. Now let's test if we do a click. So if we go to window number 1, give it a click, there we go, we get like a festive lantern scene with some snow. And if I click off it, it did close it. Now let's go to window number 2. There we go, we've got some decoration showing. It's a different image. It feels fairly festive, I suppose. Let's click off there and try number 3. An image of some snow. Yeah, why not? Okay. Yeah, it might be that we might want to curate which images are shown, but so far, so good. It feels pretty good. Now, if I go on the left-hand side, I want to make some changes to this. Again, this is a great starting point. It's done all the work for us. I've not really had to sort of tweak it and adjust it too much. It's kind of done a really good job. But let's go here and say we want to mix up the positions of the windows. Something a bit more typical for an advent calendar. So let's say mix the positions of the window buttons, and we'll generate this. It's going to work away. There we go. It says working on it. So that's the only change that I've asked for. It's a fairly short instruction that I've given it. All I want it to do is kind of randomize and shuffle the positions of these buttons. Now, maybe that if we were building this page in real life, we'd want to do a few more things, maybe show images on these buttons. We might want something where we only allow clicking and opening of the image on a button if that date is actually the current date at the moment for this year. I've not built any of this in. This is something we could take further if we want to. Anyway, so what it's done there, we can see it has actually shuffled the order of the buttons. So we can see, yeah, 1 is over here, 2 is over here on the left, 3 is down there. And again, it looks to be the full 24, just randomize the positions. So far, so good. So again, we'll just click on the buttons, see if it's working as expected. Let's see what the final window 24 does. Very nice, some kind of festive meal. Very, very good. Let's give this one a go. 16. There we go. Some lovely houses in the snow. So clicking off that to close it, that's all I wanted to show today, is that just with the power with prompts, I mean, we're living in the world of vibe coding these days at the moment. It's getting more and more popular. Even the drag and drop of the low code is kind of been surpassed by giving quite a simple instruction, say, just build this thing I'm describing. It's gone away and actually built the React code for us, in this case, quite simple and straightforward. It looks to be fairly good practices because it's got reusability built in with the clicking of the windows and clicking off. It's certainly not duplicated the code 24 times, which is very good. And again, it's working as expected when we give it a go here. So because you've seen how straightforward this is, and even with free trials and things like Power Apps, I'd encourage you all just to give this a go. With the prompts in just a few minutes, you can kind of generate lots of different things. It might be line of business apps, it might be games, it might be interactive experiences like this advent calendar. But if you do have fun with it, please do contact me on LinkedIn. Let me know what you've created. I'd really love to see what you've made of this. Okay, so thank you so much for checking out my session today. Please do learn more about the Festive Tech Calendar event at festivetechcalendar.com. There's lots of other great sessions on there, and we're also looking to raise money for the Beats and Cancer charity this year, so any donations are welcome. And I'd like to say a really big thank you to Gregor Suttie and Richard Hooper for starting the Festive Tech Calendar. It's an event that's always had a special place in my heart because it was the first presentation that I actually put forward a few years ago. So I'm glad that the initiative is carrying on. So yeah, great work. Again, if you've got any questions or you want to reach out with any feedback, my name is Keith Atherton. Please do connect with me on LinkedIn. There's a QR code that you can scan there or just search for my name. It's fairly unique. And I hope you have a really happy festive season. Take care.